Oklahoma City. This morning, this happened luckily right after rush hour, if there's any good luck to this at all.
True.
You went immediately to the scene, and tell me what happened.
That's right. The witnesses that we talked to, they said that they heard the explosion a little bit after 9 o'clock. Photographer Phil Monahan and I got down to the downtown area at about 10 after. You were seeing exactly what we saw as soon as we got there. This is taken at the 6th Street and Robinson area. They set up triage there. Literally hundreds of people being taken into ambulances, those who are critically injured. The others, like this lady, they were helped on the site. There were medical personnel from home health care, from different hospitals. There's another man being rushed in.
No wonder we see bad things every day, but this is something that you certainly don't ever hope to have to report on.
That is true. I mean, as we walked up, I could not believe what was happening. You really couldn't believe your eyes, and you especially couldn't believe that it was actually happening here in Oklahoma City.
And at this point, the governor has called in for the National Guard to come in and help in this situation, and a lot of emergency crews in downtown Oklahoma City. We know this is making national news across the United States. People are wondering and calling into Oklahoma to see if their family members and loved ones by chance survived this and were one of the lucky ones to walk out, even with the many scrapes and bruises. And right now, we're going to look at Sky 5. We understand that the situation right now, there we go. The situation right now, early this morning driving to downtown Oklahoma City, the whole downtown was covered with big black puffs of smoke. It was unbelievable. I was driving down there. I thought maybe it was just a big warehouse fire or something, and then it just kept getting worse. But right now, there's the building. You're looking at one side of it. Rhonda, can you describe what that looked like from down on the ground closer?
It really looked like somebody had just taken a scoop and just scooped out the entire front of the new federal office building. From the top to the bottom on the, I don't remember what side of the building it is the entire front of the building, and it is facing the north side. That was just totally blown away. Earlier we saw pictures of cars, a parking lot right next to that. Cars were just exploding and on fire. It was just amazing. We got there early enough that we were able to get up close to the building and get some video that you saw earlier, and then they moved us back about a block. And we were there for probably an hour taking video of the triage and different people being helped. And then they were afraid of another possible bomb scare, and that's when they moved us 4 blocks away. So they keep moving that area back just for safety so that nobody else will get hurt.
And our Sky 5 picture that you were looking at was, they told our helicopter they could only get within 5 miles of that building for safety purposes as well. And Rhonda was with Phil Monahan, 5 News photojournalist, when all of this happened. Phil, you still look like you're a little shaken.
It's something like I have never seen in my life. What kept going through my mind looking at it was, I lived in Los Angeles in 1971 during a major earthquake. And this is far, far worse than anything I saw at that point.
It's hard, too, for us to look at it, but you have a job to do out there, too, and in certain situations like this, it can be really, this is some new stuff that we're looking at here of the building. It can be really difficult to get the pictures and to do your job and to stay calm, and all of that combined.
It's amazing that everywhere you turn, there were people like this, just devastated, physically hurt.
Laying all over the streets.
Yes, it honestly looked like a war zone. It still does. And there's very little that any of us could do to help, so you can do your job.
This is one of the first pictures Phil took. We just passed it. The black cloud of smoke. That's all we could see in the distance.
Probably just jumped out right then just to see what. Did you all know at that point? You'd heard, I'm sure, over the scanners what had happened?
But we weren't even for certain when we got there what building until Phil ran up and actually saw that it was the new federal building.
We heard scanner traffic saying that the new federal building was involved, and when I got up around the corner and saw the very first pictures you saw on this tape.
Oh, gosh.
And most of these people that we talked to that are injured in this video, they were not in the federal building, but in nearby buildings, such as the Water Resource Board building. They were also in the Journal Record building, which was just to the north of the building that the explosion happened in. So you can see how they are injured, so we can only imagine what those people...
What you're looking at here is a block away to the north. There's a large building in between, large building in between where the explosion took place and where this is, and you can see all the windows blown out of the building behind it. It's incredible.
They were also warning people, you know, even though the explosion had already happened, they were warning people to be sure and walk in the middle of the streets. And if we're warning people to stay away from the downtown area. But if you're in that area, be sure and walk in the middle of the streets because there's still falling and flying glass everywhere.
Glass, brick. A lot of the buildings are heavily damaged.
All right, Phil Monahan, Rhonda Chapman, thank you very much. And now let's go to Jennifer Eve, who is on the update desk again. Jennifer.
All right, thanks. You talked about the emotional fallout from this, and it's a good point, a good place to remind people about what Dr. Tom Caniglione told us. He is the medical director down at St. Anthony Hospital, and he said that not only have they called in a lot of emergency personnel, I believe he said they have around 300 now, and he even said they had too many volunteers otherwise, so they'll need volunteers, but perhaps either throughout the evening or tomorrow morning. But he also said that they have called in 3 psychiatrists, and they are there specifically to deal with the emotional fallout from this. You have a lot of children that they are seeing. We saw some videotape a few moments ago that just broke your heart. We have a small child, looked about 2 or 3 years old, just covered in blood, obviously hurting and crying and trying to be comforted by the emergency crews as they just take the child down to St. Anthony's. 3 psychiatrists there are ready in the emergency room to help people deal with the emotional trauma. Some of the children were traumatized. They had some of them had injuries, but a lot of them weren't as injured as they were just absolutely traumatized and in shock. Some very sad news to pass along to you. The Associated Press is reporting now that 8 children have died. We had confirmed 1. Now the Associated Press is saying, I'm sorry, 8 people have died. We misunderstood that 8 people have died, according to the Associated Press, and they also say that 6 of those are children. 8 people dead, 6 children. Let's go now to Mike Gotro, who is standing by live near the scene. Michael?
Jennifer, if you look down below me here, you'll see they're starting to stage some heavy equipment here, some backhoes and bulldozers and whatnot. Those have just arrived over to our west a little bit. There's a field full of dump trucks there. I assume that's going to be used to try to help move some of the rubble from this massive explosion. Kyle, if we'll pan back over and show you the federal building, this is a view of the north side of it. I think Rhonda probably described it as best as I've heard this morning, in that it just looks like someone scooped out this half of the building. If you're a little closer to it, you can see light through and through, and I think the more substantial damage is over to the east side of that building where the DEA and the FBI offices are. We're not far from the fire department and the IMSA staging areas. There must be probably 100 trucks down in this part of Oklahoma City. We've also seen law enforcement officials from the various places across central Oklahoma, all of them coming in to try to help move this perimeter back to the 4 to 6 block perimeter. Again, not sure if they've made any kind of decision on the second device they said they found inside the building, Jennifer. I believe they've got us moved back to this point for safety.
Mike, now tell us again where your staging area is located, because we've had several calls here in the newsroom from people who have things like heavy cranes that can be used to help get people out of that building. Where are you now? We are at 11th and Hudson, Jennifer, and the place I see them bringing the heavy equipment in is on probably the southwest corner of that. Now, I would probably suggest that you call and ask, because I know so far the hospitals have gotten just a deluge of volunteers, and that's great to hear, but there's more than they can actually handle. There's probably 25 to 30 dump trucks here. I see 3 or 4 backhoes and bulldozers. Not sure how much heavy equipment can be used, but I'm sure they'd like to hear from you, and if they can use you, if you've got some of that kind of equipment out there, I'd give probably the city of Oklahoma City, maybe the Oklahoma City Police Department, or the Oklahoma County Sheriff's Office a call. They seem to be in control of the scene from where we're at, Jennifer. Okay, Mike, and we have some additional information on that note, that the non-emergency number that they're asking you, if you can help with that kind of equipment, to call the Oklahoma City Fire Department. Obviously, don't tie up 911. Oklahoma City Fire Department's non-emergency emergency number is 297-3439. 297-3439. If you misplace the number, call us here at the station. We'll be glad to pass it along to you. What they need, lights and generators. And as we said, heavy cranes to help lift some of this incredible debris. We talked earlier today about Feed the Children organization. Now, they say that they need help from restaurants. They need emergency workers, people to help disseminate the meals, the food for not only the rescue teams who will be working nonstop, but also for the victims. If you can help, the number is on your screen, 942-0228. They need emergency workers. They need help for all kinds of things. And obviously, the people here have been volunteering, have been coming forward in just tremendous ways. Feed the Children is also a place that needs your help. Now, we have just been told by Bob Clift, he's with the Oklahoma State Restaurant Association. We are aware of the fact that they were having a convention down at the Myriad Convention Center, which is located approximately 4 blocks south of the Murrah building. They say they have equipment, food, a lot of trained personnel down there, and they have canceled the convention so that all of their people who are gathered there in one spot and in a very large area, which will be of some help, so that they can cook for the workers and the people downtown. So if you can help in that effort, down at the Myriad, 942-8181 is his number. Do you have something else for us? We are getting information throughout the morning. Okay, we have, and these are for ambulance crews, right? All right, we're told that ambulance crews from as far away as Weatherford are coming in, and they're here to pull people. They're actually here now, we're told, and they're here to pull people out of the wreckage and help take them to the places they need to go. So at this point, they don't have any radio contact, but we're told that they are en route. We're told by Dr. Tom Caniglione, who's the medical director at St. Anthony Hospital, that, like I said, they have a lot of volunteers. So far, he says, this was about half an hour ago, he says so far they have no problem with the blood supply. They have the blood they need. They also have the bandages and other equipment like that they need. Right now, their main problem is they're waiting. Because of this potential second device, it moved everybody back. It evacuated the building again, and so all the emergency workers who were trying to get people out of the Murrah building were taken outside and were taken several blocks away so they couldn't continue their rescue efforts. When the threat of that began to be diffused, they moved them back several blocks into the building, and so then they can now begin the process of trying to get those people out, get them to the hospital where they can be triaged. When that happens, St. Anthony Hospital is going to once again be an incredibly chaotic place. They have 300 people there right now. We're told that they have plenty of people for their needs at this point. However, that will probably change as the next wave of injured come in. We are told they have had, they treated about, half an hour ago he said that they had treated about 56 people at that time. They had several in the operating room for fractured bones and things of that nature. Mostly they're treating respiratory problems and severe lacerations. If you have something else, thank you. Okay, we're told the ambulance at the triage unit is about to leave for the scene. They have no radio contact because of worries of another explosive device. They're getting people out, okay. What you're looking at now, videotape, this looks to be shot about 10 o'clock this morning, I think. EMSA crews evacuating people. There you see what's left of the Murrah building. We've called it around here the new federal building. It's not new. It's probably about 20 years old, I think. We have to get the exact year on that. It's been there for some time, but to us it's the new federal building. Cars across the street exploded in the parking lot, people with incredible injuries. You can even see the emergency workers tore the shirts to get to the injuries, and there are even children that are injured. We're going to go now to Barbara Goche, who is standing by now down in the area. Barbara, where are you, and tell us what you know.
Jennifer, we're at 5th in Oklahoma. We're at one of the triage areas, and they are gathering up equipment and supplies, getting ready to treat the victims that will be brought here. With me now is Mike Tucci. He's with EMSA. What are you guys doing at this point?
At this point in time, we have a crew that's down at the building itself doing search and rescue with fire department, sheriff, and highway patrol all coordinating down there. They're going to try and load up anybody that they find and bring it down to us where we have the triage area and basically the field hospital behind us where we can triage people and get them in and out.
You've got a lot of people out here. They all from what hospitals, volunteers?
They're from volunteers from hospitals all over the city area, all over outlying areas. We have several ambulance services, fire departments. numerous help.
What have you seen so far in terms of types of injuries? What are you expecting? That kind of thing?
Well, they're starting to do the search and rescue and extrication from the building, so this is probably where we're going to see most of our fatalities and serious injuries, because there are people trapped under rubble and that were there at the blast that hopefully they're alive, but there's no telling.
What do you need? Do you need supplies, other volunteers? Tell us what we can do to make your job easier at this point.
To make our job easier is just keep the area clear is basically all I can say. I don't know what they need as in supplies, blood, whatever, but we have all our supplies that we need for right now. But basically all I can say is keep the area clear.
A lot of people walking around in kind of bewilderment. Lots of folks never seen anything like this. It's tough for people out here.
Sure. Most people don't ever see this. And I mean, unfortunately, we see it every day. Nothing like this, but we see quite a bit every day. So we're more immune to this stuff.
This is amazing.
It's amazing. When I showed up down here, it was like, I didn't think it was as bad as it was, and I showed up and it was unbelievable. And I know there are medics and fire department walking around just dazed because this had never happened.
All right, Mike Tucci, good luck. Thank you very much for your time. That is the situation from here. We're going to send it back to you guys in the studio.
All right, thank you, Barbara. We want to mention once again briefly that if you are at home watching and you are desperately trying to get information on a relative or a friend who works in that area, that where you need to go is down at St. Anthony Hospital, which is just a few blocks to the west of the Murrah building. Now, inside their gymnasium and their mental health center area at St. Anthony's, we're told, is a bulletin board. On the bulletin board they will be periodically updated, a list of names and where those people, the names of the victims, where those victims were taken. Some are at St. Anthony's, others at University Hospital, Children's Hospital, and various places. Also, many of their conditions will be known. So instead of tying up the phones and keeping emergency workers from doing their jobs, the best thing you can do is go down to St. Anthony Hospital and check that bulletin board for the names, and that way it will tell you exactly where you need to go and what kind of the latest information. There again, you see people walking around. These people are dazed. Tom Caniglione was talking about the emotional fallout from this. People just don't know. I mean, they've just never seen anything like that. Obviously, they're trying to get emotional support. They're trying to get physical support. These people are hurting, but perhaps the pain they feel is going to come later. Right now, they just can't even believe it happened. I mean, there's just incredible shock. You go to work, it's a beautiful day, gorgeous spring day here in Oklahoma City. You go to work, you've been there a short time, and all of a sudden, it just breaks loose. I mean, it is just an unbelievable event. I was about 15 miles away, I think, at the time, and the windows there rattled. I mean, it felt like an earthquake. It occurred, it continued on for, I felt, 5 to 8 seconds long, somewhere in that neighborhood. Just an incredible rattling, shaking. It sounded like someone was trying to break in. It was a very odd feeling. I believe, are we going to go now to Barbara? Okay, we're going to go to Cherokee, who has some information for viewers, for parents particularly. Cherokee?
This is some very critical information concerning a little 2.5-year-old girl that is at Southwest Medical Center. She came in there from the accident. No one has claimed this little girl. She is in fair condition, which is not in very good condition. They need to do surgery on her, but no one has come in to claim her, so the hospital cannot do surgery because no one has come in to say, yes, this is my daughter, or go ahead and do what you need to do. She is 2.5 years old with red hair, blue eyes, and very fair skin. That's all the information we have on her. Don't know her name, don't know anything else, but there obviously is some parent somewhere out there that may not be able to locate their little girl at this point. So if you have any information about a little 2.5-year-old girl, red hair, blue eyes, fair skin at Southwest Medical, please give them a call. This is at the YMCA. These are little kids, I believe, that were in the daycare at the bottom of the Alfred P. Murrah building when the explosion happened. Very graphic pictures, folks. If you're just joining us, this is unedited video of kids that were brought out of the Alfred P. Murrah building.
Cherokee?
Yes.
There are 2 daycare centers there. There was the one inside the Murrah building. There's also the daycare center just across the street at the YMCA. And the location, what we were seeing in that videotape was the grassy area that was located just east of the YMCA, where they told parents of children in that daycare to pick them up. However, there looked like to be about a dozen children there, and because of some of the injuries, several of them have been already transported to the hospital. Now, on that 2.5-year-old girl, red hair, blue eyes, fair-skinned, did you tell me she was taken to Southwest Medical Center?
Yes, ma'am. That's where she is. At this point, the doctors and nurses there are waiting to find out, who she belongs to so they can take care of her.
And she apparently needs surgery, I guess, and they need the okay to do that.
Yes, they say she needs surgery. She's in fair condition, but they can't do anything until they find someone who can say, yes, go ahead. Now let's go back to Barbara Gauthier at 5th and Oklahoma, where she is as close as she can be to this devastation that happened this morning. Barbara.
Yeah, Cherokee, as we've been just talking about this devastation all morning, Richter Jackson, my photographer, and I were among the first people out here, and we've talked about the World Trade Center and what we saw, the pictures that we saw there, and it's very much like that, people coming out with rags and towels on their head and blood, and it was just an incredible scene. But we are with Doris Jackson. She was inside the YMCA. Several floors, the upper floors of the building, I understand, collapsed, and there were lots of children inside. Tell me what you saw this morning.
Babies all out. We was bringing babies out, and some of them had glass in their head, their forehead, and just a mess. And workers in there bleeding at the head, people laying everywhere. It was just a mess. Residents, people just hurt everywhere.
Now you work inside, though, and you were down in the basement.
In the basement, yes, and something went pop, and it blowed me clean to the back of the basement. And I couldn't see. It was all dark, and stuff was just coming in like a tornado. And when I got where I could see, I was on my knees crawling. I crawled up under the tables and stuff, and someone found me and got me out. And I went upstairs, and babies and stuff was everywhere. And I was helping get babies out, and workers and residents lived there, and it was just a mess. People was everywhere.
There's so much concern for and about the children. What kind of injuries did you see? Were there serious injuries?
Yes,
or minor?
I seen 2 in particular. One baby had glass in his head, and another little black baby was like, bleeding everywhere and cut everywhere, glass and stuff. And a girl worked with me. She was outside doing the windows, and the glass just blew right into her face. Chris Brown.
How are you doing? You said you're not feeling too good.
No, I'm very shaky. But I just thank God, and I'm really sad for the people that's, injured and